Hey, and welcome. Today we're gonna make Future House bass. I'm gonna show you how to make them. And I put it into a concept where it's split into 3 different parts, and you can use this concept to make your own, and you can make it different from what I did. But I think you have to have this key thing in mind when you're making Future House basses. If you do, this is definitely gonna benefit you. And if you have any comments or any questions about future suggestions for videos or about this video or whatever, drop them in the comments or send me an email, link down below. Okay, as you see here, this is the MIDI pattern for a song I made. And I think when you make a SlapHouse bass, it's really important to get the correct rhythm. And if you don't get the correct rhythm, it's not gonna be bouncy. And there's a few tricks that I like to use. I like to use the syncopated trick, where you put a note on, you have one E and A on this, on the fourth. So it goes like this. If you listen to the click, that gives a really good bounce. And an extra trick that I like to do is do an octave. So it sounds, instead of sounding like this, sounds like this. Those are very key, I think, in this one. And if I would have done it like this, instead of the syncopated beat, I would have done this. And it doesn't sound groovy. But if you do this, I really think it gives a good rhythm to the track. And I also made it into like 2 separate parts. So you have A part, this part, and then you have B, and then you have A, and you have B. So this A part and this A part, they have the same rhythm. Almost. This is just a little difference here. And the B parts have the same rhythm. It's just different notes. So all in all, it sounds like this. I think it's, when you listen to it, either you should have a kick drum or you should have a metronome on. Otherwise, you won't get the real feel. We can put the kick drum in. So you see what I mean? Okay, sound design. I think sound design is super important, especially in like electronic music genres, because it serves as a great foundation for the genre. And if the sound is off, it's not gonna sound good, even if the sound itself is very cool, unless you have a specific purpose for it. So I'm a little bit too lazy myself to make all these basses, and there's so many good people. And I think this guy, Savage Sounds, you can Google it. I think it's savagesounds.de. This is not sponsored, by the way, but I think he makes some insanely good SlapHouse basses sound. So definitely check it out. And he has a lot of them. I don't know how many, but you see there's a lot. So what I did, I picked out a few that I liked, and this one serves as a foundation for the whole bass, and it sounds like this. And it's made, you can just pause the video, I'm just gonna go through it fast. Okay, for the second sound, I choose this one, this sound. I think I can just go through it fast. I got envelope 2. You have this. And then you have the LFO. Just pause it when I go through it and you can copy the settings. And the same goes for base 3. Sounds like this. And it looks like this. And the last one is just a sub bass. Looks like this. I just copied, I think it's the first sound, and I just removed all this and just had a bass, and I just have the distortion left. It sounds like this. So just pause it, and then you can look through all the sounds. And all together they sound like this. I think they sound pretty good together, but what we have to do now is get into the processing. Okay, so we're back, and now we're gonna go through all the sounds one by one. And I didn't do much processing. I just did, first I put this on, is put an EQ to cut off all the bottom ones. It sounds like this. Because I just wanted the top end of this bass. Although the whole one sounds pretty good, but I think in the end and in the mix, this one sounds much better. And then we're gonna go through this one. I think I did the same with this. I just cut off a little bit of the top end. I left some bass in this one. And bass 3. And bass 3. I just wanted to keep the middle part of it, the middle part of the sound, and all those 3 together sound like this now. I mean, you sound like one sound. Like, there's just a tiny bit of EQ in each one, but I think they blend much better together. And then we add the bass. So that's the processing for the individual ones. But I think here's when the magic kicks in. So I group them all together. So all the sounds go through this bus, the bass bus. And then first I add a decapitator. It's a distortion plugin. You can use whatever distortion you want, but the key is when you're layering sound is to listen. If it sounds better, use it. If it doesn't, don't use it. So I added a little bit of distortion. With a little bit of, you can change the tone a little bit if you want it a little bit brighter or darker in this one. And I just made it a little bit darker because I thought it fit, so it sounds like this. You just fatten up the sound just a tiny bit. And then I add a compressor. I just added this to glue the sounds together just a tiny bit. I think it's really important just to glue them to make it sound a little bit more compressed. And here is the main part of the sound design. So I made a multi-band distortion, and they all have individual settings. So when this is on, it sounds like this. And this is off. This gives much more mid excitement than without. And individually, this one is not like the bass one, it's just tiny bit saturated, not that much. And the middle one has a lot more. So if you listen to this one, this is without, and this is in. top part of the sound is not that much distortion either. It's mostly for the mid part. So we can do one more time with or without. Without. But of course, when you add a lot of distortion, you need to cut some sounds out because it adds a lot. So here I add an EQ where I remove a little bit of the mid-range, a lot of the top range. It doesn't clash with the vocals and the synths and the drums. And then I have a little bit of, my kick is very much centered around 45 hertz. So I just make this duck out every time the kick hits. So it just ducks out like a few decibels, but it really helps with the mix. So for sound design, that's not important. That's more for the mix. But we're going to keep on focusing on sound design. And then I add another compressor. On this one, just glues it a little bit more. And a limiter, just to glue it even more. And then of course you have to have some side chain, so it goes. And I just have this because it was getting a little bit too hot, so I just added a gain plugin, removed like 1.44 decibels. And altogether they sound like this. And with the kick. And now it doesn't sound super clean, but in the mix, so I think this is actually sound pretty good. And if you remove all the processing on the bass, in the mix it sounds like this. You can add up the volume to make it match. Do you hear it? It did not really cut through as much, and the sound was a bit wobbly instead of being like solid and like keeping together. So I think it's super important that you do some processing if it sounds good. Remember, I think it was here. Yeah, here it sounds like the sounds sound like it's together, it's glued, it doesn't go out of, it doesn't just jump out on you or just duck below when the kicks hit. It sounds like stable. So that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, just drop them down below. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it really helped. And as I said in the beginning, if you have any questions about this video or need help with anything music related, send me an email. I have a lot of video ideas, but it would help me to help you in the future if you send me what you need help with, and I think we can benefit both from that. Have the best of time and peace out.